Realistic is not the word I would use to describe old school beat-em-ups like Final Fight, Streets of Rage, and Rival Turf. These are games where one or two gym rats are able to defeat a small army's worth of gang members, all while riding elevators and eating chicken straight out of garbage cans. The new game Drunken Fist purports to be a totally accurate beat-em-up. But yeah, that's like calling the Human Centipede 100% medically accurate. It's a brawler where an old drunk guy stumbles around the city knocking out hipsters, businessmen, and punk, while at the same time dodging the fuzz and finding free beer. Sure, it's silly and definitely stupid, but totally accurate? I think not. You know what? There's not a whole lot of setup here. You play an old bearded drunk who gets into a street fight with a couple of jocks for no reason, and then follows that up with level after level of fighting random people he sees on the streets. This eventually takes us on a tour of the city where we go on a life-affirming journey filled with pathos and a level of self-reflection you just rarely see in video games. Nah, I'm just kidding. You mostly just drink beer and beat up random citizens. There's no hidden depth here, it's just an old man punching people and occasionally falling down. The best thing I can say about Drunken Fist is that it has more moves than I was expecting. On top of the typical punches and kicks, the bearded drunkard is able to uppercut, sweep, double kick, and perform a very rudimentary combo. There are 9 different moves in all, which may not sound like a whole lot, but remember, this is a game about a drunk guy tripping over his own feet in between knocking out gang members. The fact that you can do more than just punch and kick is kind of a miracle. Now, probably the most impressive thing about our drunk hero is just how much pee he's able to generate. Believe it or not, a lot of this game comes down to dealing with gauges. If the old guy doesn't drink and pee regularly, then he'll run out of health and fail. Thankfully, free beer and burgers are scattered throughout the city, once again fueling my concerns that Drunken Fist may not be totally accurate after all. Look, I get it, it's obvious, Drunken Fist is not meant to be taken seriously. In some ways, it's critic-proof. If I tell you that it's bad, then you're just gonna point out that it's supposed to be that way. That's the joke. The gameplay is meant to be terrible. The physics are supposed to be that way, and the repetition is just poking fun at the beat-em-up conventions. Why bother criticizing a game that isn't even attempting to be good in the first place? Alright, I'll admit that seeing the hero of a beat-em-up stumble around and fall into a garbage can be pretty funny. It's a goofy way to shake up a genre that has always been so beholden to the tropes and cliches. But that's the only joke that it has. The developer doesn't use it as a jumping off point to make fun of the genre, but rather insists on making the joke all about the drunk guy who can't even walk straight. The fact that it's a brawler is so far beyond the point that it comes across as a complete afterthought. In fact, the joke would have been just as funny in any other genre. To prove that point, just imagine this old drunk guy as a basketball player or maybe a third-person action hero. Just as funny. The problem with a one-joke game like Drunken Fist is that once that joke stops being funny, all you're left with is a bad playing beat-em-up. This is the kind of game where the moves are inconsistent, and simple things like walking in a straight line result in falling down. So you can only imagine my frustration when I had to start one of the overlong stages over from the very beginning just because I got ganged up on at the last second. A silly thing like stumbling around may be funny for the first 10 or 15 minutes, but it's infuriating when all you want to do is beat the game. It's like playing a game with a broken controller and then pretending that it's fun because of comedy. Oh, that reminds me. Drunken Fist doesn't actually have an ending. It also doesn't have much of a beginning or middle. There's really no story here, and the game isn't building to anything. It just abruptly ends. No cinema, no credits, no extras, nothing. It's just back to the main menu, thanks for playing. Yeah, the whole experience left me annoyed. Not because I didn't get the joke, but rather because Drunken Fist is a colossal waste of time. The one-joke approach may work for a buzzworthy trailer, but not when it comes to a full-length game. While Drunken Fist has a silly premise that's certainly fun for a few minutes, there's just nothing to keep you playing after the laughter stops. What we're left with is a crummy beat-em-up with terrible gameplay, a shallow moveset, and a non-existent story that leads to nothing. It's a meaningless exercise in anti-fun that neither has a point nor attempts to poke fun at the easily mockable genre. As crazy as it sounds, the developers truly hoped that watching an old guy stumble around the streets would be enough comedy to keep Drunken Fist afloat. They were wrong. Hey, thanks for watching our review. If you liked what you saw here, then you should know that we post new reviews and features almost every day. Now, here's the question I have for you. What is your favorite game to play while you're drunk? Or, just intoxicated in general. I think my go-to game is almost always just Rock Band because I like to hear people cheering for me when I'm drunk. Let me see your picks in the comments below. In other news, we'll be back later this week with more reviews. Can I possibly be any vaguer? Yeah, probably. If you're okay with that, then I strongly recommend you click that subscribe button and support what we're doing here. Until then.